Welcome to yet another weekly Forex forecast, traders. As always, we will start with the DXY. We have seen the US dollar get pretty strong this last week. You can see pretty green candle. And why did that strength come into effect? Well, just like we saw strength from here, we saw the move from down here to up here. What we have is a demand zone on the weekly chart that is in control. The zone is back here. You can see we have this zone back here that we got that reaction off of before breaking, and now we are in this zone. The same thing could happen. We can get a move and it could break, but we got to be careful of that and expect more dollar strength to continue to go up as that weekly demand is in control. And more importantly, both of these zones, why they both are working, or why this one worked for a bit and why this one is working now, in my opinion, is not only because it's a weekly demand, but it's because this is an overall monthly demand that the weekly demands are inside of. So that is why we are seeing strength. It is tricky to tell right now if we are going to get a pullback all the way up to supply at 103.06. I am going to say right now it is certainly possible. I have gotten many negative comments on my YouTube channel saying, actually, I'm kind of bullish on the dollar when price was hitting that weekly demand, saying I'm bullish on the dollar when price is hitting this weekly demand. I've gotten many negative comments, people calling me stupid, and we already got the move here. Let's see if we can get the move now. In order to tell if we are going to get a pullback all the way up to that that weekly area of supply is going to be this downward trend line on the daily time frame. This is a pretty significant downward trend line in my opinion, and it's actually, the trend line is pretty much being tested as I'm speaking right now. So that trend line is being tested. If we break this trend line, that's going to be a pretty bullish sign. That's going to be evidence for me to suggest we will be getting that bigger pullback up to that weekly supply potentially, right? It's everything is just a probability game, and all I'm saying is if we break this downward trend line, it's a high probability that we actually continue to go up to that weekly supply that I was talking about. On the 1 hour chart and the 4 hour chart, we have significant trends to the upside here. We are currently pretty much hesitating at this 4 hour supply at 97.97. We haven't quite hit it yet. I am expecting to see maybe some dollar weakness, maybe for a couple days as we react off the supply, eventually end up breaking out of it. That is what I am expecting, and the reason I'm expecting this to break is because weekly demand, which is in control, is stronger than a 4 hour supply zone. It doesn't mean we won't see a small move off of it before breaking, but that is what I am expecting to see here on the DXY. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. You can see here on the weekly chart, a little bit of a pullback. We don't have that weekly supply equivalent in the opposite of the DXY demand. We don't have that on the Euro chart, but we could expect to see price pullback. And this weekly demand down here is going to represent a pretty good buying opportunity, in my opinion. Now, obviously, the euro and the dollar are just the opposite, and the trend lines here on the daily chart on the euro and the DXY not quite the same, right? On the dollar downward trend line, we have basically the downward trend line being tested as we speak. This one, we're quite a ways away from it, so it's still looking pretty bullish here on the euro, but obviously, I'm expecting price to continue to go lower. On the 1 hour chart here, we have a pretty decent little 1 hour downward trend line here. So what I will say is, as long as this downward trend line is being respected, 5 minute time frame shorts are going to be good. And if you look above, we had a demand zone here that was removed by this supply zone. The initial move away and the overall move away are both pretty good on this zone. So I don't mind a pullback up to that supply level at 117 for a potential 1 hour supply zone setup. And as always, if you don't feel comfortable with just an entry, stop, and take profit, what you could do is just look for confirmation on a 5 minute chart. And you could be using this 1 hour chart essentially as your higher time frame. Now, we did catch this move to the downside on the euro, and we cut that move from this 4 hour area of supply. So this 4 hour supply zone was called out in the daily market breakdown video, as you can see on the screen now. Beautiful move from that supply zone, no drawdown, and one of the members, Dala, held this trade for 2 days, and he had a 1 to 3 risk reward take profit hit. So congrats to that member who caught this trade from the daily market breakdown videos. If you want to trade alongside myself and the community, join the Diamond membership for exclusive access to our daily market breakdown videos and catch trades like these. Plus, dive deep with our full-length forecast covering 26 plus markets, our interactive Sunday Zoom sessions, and personal homework to sharpen your strategy. And you'll also join our private Discord group for direct access to me and unlock a complete library of A to Z video lessons to master supply and demand trading. Don't miss out. Let's level up your trading. Links in the description down below. So again, this trade has worked out we could be pulling back down to this 4-hour demand. Since the DXY weekly demand is in control, any longs on these euro trades, you could look for longs off of this zone. I would just be very aggressive with moving my stop loss to break even or looking to take profit as quick as we can. Where this supply zone setup, there is multiple time frame analysis even with the DXY to suggest that we could actually hold this trade for even longer, right? So the member got that 3-to-1 trade. In theory, we could technically still be trading it even more, or sorry, holding that trade even longer and adding onto our trade at 1-hour supply zones like I was pointing out. So at the end of the day right now, guys, it is shorts all the way right now on the euro US dollar. It might look a little risky due to the fact that we have that daily upward trend, but with the 4-hour supply in control and the 1-hour supply above and the 1-hour downward trend line, the euro is looking pretty good for potential short trades. Alrighty, on to the forecast for gold. Pretty decent week for gold this past week. 2 upward weeks on gold. I like a pullback now that weekly demand zone still. I'm just not sure if we're going to get there. I really hope we do. It's just not really looking like it. Over on the daily chart here, you can see this upward trend line is really being respected beautifully once and twice. So clearly the proper trend line is drawn there, and that's something we talk about in the meetings on Sundays. Proper trend lines where we actually get reactions off of them, not just random lines. So we are wedging out. I've been talking about this as well, or ascending triangle, whatever it's called. So we could, kind of get tight price action within this wedge before we break out to the upside or to the downside. Who knows? In my opinion, based off of the higher time frame trends, we are expecting the big move to the upside. That is what we are expecting here on gold. So it is still looking bullish. Over on the 4-hour chart, something significant took place. We removed this high. And what that means is now we have a pretty nice upward trend line on the 4-hour time frame. That is definitely a bullish sign. In order to break out of that wedge in the daily chart, we have to have a 4-hour upward trend. And not only that, this 4-hour upward trend, trading this 4-hour upward trend essentially means you are trading with the higher time frame weekly weekly trend. So as long as this trend line's holding on a 4-hour chart, 15-minute time frame longs are good to go. It's really that simple as far as this 4-hour chart goes. If we break this upper trend line, that's fine. And why is it fine? Because like I'm going to show you, if we break this 4-hour trend line, what that means is we could be pulling all the way back down to this 1-hour demand zone. It's actually right at that trend line. So it could be that we just pull back down this demand zone, get the trade out that demand zone, and ride price back to the upside to continue the 4-hour trend. So this is really our only dip buying opportunity on gold right now at 3,300. And even then, it's a decent zone. It's a hidden rally-based rally. The move away is not bad. The overall move away is decent. So we definitely could see move off it. I would like to see maybe some sort of basing here, create some liquidity trap. But at the end of the day, that is our zone on gold. In the meantime, it is day trading longs all the way on a 15-minute chart. Just monitor the 4-hour upward trend line. All right, on to the forecast for the USDJPY. We're going to go from the bottom up. Usually we like to do top-down analysis. From here, we're going to go from the 4-hour chart up. And why? Well, you're going to see why here in a second. So right now, we have a beautiful 4-hour upward trend line. I really like it. I think it's pretty good. We actually have to update it. I'm just realizing right now. So this is the updated trend line right here. Not going to get into detail why, but that is the updated trend line, and it's looking pretty bullish. So what that means is as long as this 4-hour trend line's holding, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. So watch this trend line. 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good, but we have profit margin up above that we are clearly targeting. I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit. So why I want to be looking for longs on a 50-minute time frame is because we have a clear liquidity search area and trap, whatever you want to call it, up above. This is a clear area of resistance, and we are trending up to this resistance area, and I think we are going to be targeting liquidity up here. Everybody's stop loss is up here, in my opinion. Not everybody, obviously, but it's a resistance area. There could be stop losses above there. We have a great supply level above there as well at 149.29. So I think we should be getting it long to target liquidity and look to take profit at that daily supply, or at least be aggressive with your stop loss as we approach that daily supply. And if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I do these forecasts for free every single Saturday, so make sure you hit that subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos, including some of my really good tip videos that you guys should be watching as well. So I think we should continue to look for long, target the liquidity above, and then once we hit this daily supply, then we could get a potential short trade. So it's a pretty clear chart right now on the USDJPY. So like I said, day trading longs all the way until we can hit that daily area of supply, as long as the 4-hour trend line's holding. Now on the 1 hour chart, we are into this 1 hour supply zone from back here. It's actually a decent little supply zone. The issue is it's taken so long to pull back that if you were short at the zone, which is fine, you got to be looking for a quick take profit and basically looking to move your stop loss to break even as soon as possible, really, guys. So that's what I'd be watching there for that short trade if you are short. And look, if we remove this 1 hour supply, any demand zone there in the 1 hour chart could be used for a potential long trade as well. Just make sure that you use your risk to reward tool, right, like this, and simply check the risk reward. Is there enough profit margin with the size of the zone up to that opposing daily supply above that liquidity for this trade to be worth it? So for now, it is longs all the way on the day trading timeframes. We could be waiting for the supply zones to be removed and demand zones to be formed to continue to look for longs to target that daily liquidity and that daily supply zone above at 149.29 on the USDJPY. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the GBPUSD weekly trend to the upside here. Clearly, pulling back. We might be pulling back down this weekly demand. Certainly possible. Obviously, if the dollar continues to get strong, we're going to see the pound really start to pull back. And, that is our nearest weekly demand that we could be targeting. So in theory, we could be day trading short all the way. However, I think we could hesitate around this daily demand. So first of all, we have a trend line here that we could see some reactions off of as well, and this daily demand. So it's definitely possible we see some strength here, but if the banks want to push price even lower, then that's what they're going to do. They're going to push price down to that weekly demand that we were just discussing. So I think we could see that small move off the zone, but end up breaking it, especially since it's not really the best zone I've ever seen either. So expect a small move off that daily zone. And for now, the 4 hour chart's a little bit tricky. If you look here, there's a 4 hour demand zone down below. It's not bad. I mean, there is a couple zones here. These zones are just kind of old now. So any of these 4 hour zones, they could be good for like a 1-to-1, maybe a 2-to-1, or just look for whatever you can get out of it, but be very, very aggressive with profit taking. I will be releasing a video at the end of the month discussing the multiple time frame analysis and how to use that. So there's also another zone back here at 1.33 as well. And again, these zones are so old, we really wanted to get the pullback like here, and then this one like here. So they're a little bit risky. So you could trade them. Just remember, be very, very aggressive with profit taking and stop loss management. On the 1 hour chart, we have a 1 hour downward trend line right now holding. So as long as this downward trend line's holding, 5-minute time frame shorts are good. But as we approach those higher time frame demand zones, guys, if you are short, like I said, like you should be doing here in the pound, if you are short, you got to be looking to take profit or be aggressive with your stop loss. There is a couple good supply zones up above here in the 1 hour chart, but again, just like those 4 hour demand zones, it's taken so long to get the pullback up to there that, yeah, these zones could work for quick moves, but you got to be aggressive looking for 1-to-1, 2-to-1 max. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USDCAD on the weekly time frame here. I've been talking about this weekly demand for so long, since last year. Weekly demand's in control. We could expect to see price continue to go up, especially since we are expecting to see DXY strength. Now, with that weekly demand in control, typically on a weekly chart, we're going to look, your entry time frame is the 4 hour time frame, and we are in luck as we have a pretty good area of demand over here on the 4 hour chart. We did get previous confirmation back here. We already got the trade off of there. Eventually it ended up breaking, but we already got a decent setup off that zone. And now we have a new 4 hour zone that removed not only a downward trend line, but also an opposing supply zone as well. Not only that, the move away is pretty decent as well. So I like this 4 hour zone as a confirmation setup at 1.36. This zone is one of those ones where you don't have to be aggressive with profit taking. And the reason is because this 4 hour demand zone, yeah, it's a good zone, but there's a weekly demand zone in control as well. So higher time frame means we could see a bigger move. So this is one of those trades where I would let this trade play out. I wouldn't be eager to move my stop loss from here to break even really anytime soon until we can break that high really. So I think we get a huge move off the zone. I think it's pretty good as far as a 4 hour demand zone goes on the USDCAD. Hopefully it'll work as good as this 1 hour trade here that one of our members, Ryan, took on this 1 hour chart. This is one of the zones I had on my chart, and I mean, picture perfect setup, and we reacted off of it like 3 times. So congrats to Ryan, one of the members there who caught that beautiful trade. And just a reminder, the membership comes with the full course 38 PDF that 38-page PDF that you are seeing on the screen right now. Definitely want to be using that in your trading as kind of your little guidebook. So comes with the membership. Make sure to check it out. So right now, 1 hour trend to the upside, really not my favorite price action. I mean, look at this weird stuff here. Definitely something to do with the whole Trump tariff thing with Canada or whatever. I'm not really sure. At the end of the day, trend's still holding. So in theory, we could be looking for the day trading longs. This trade's already worked out. Ryan got that trade there. And then, like I said, on the 4-hour chart, we have that beautiful 4-hour demand zone confirmation trade that even if we break this 1-hour trend, who cares? That just means we might be pulling back down to that 4-hour demand where we can get an even better trading opportunity here on the USDCAD. Okay, on to the forecast for the AUDUSD. Really nothing to go off of on the weekly chart here. No trend. Yes, the momentum certainly up. That is absolutely for sure. But really not a lot to go off of on the weekly chart. On the daily time frame, though, the last couple weeks, we did create a daily upward trend with this trendline formation here. So that's definitely a positive sign. Positive sign for potential longs on the Aussie. The issue is the dollar could be getting strong, so we actually could see this thing start to drop. So it's definitely something to consider. There has not really been a whole lot going on the Aussie this past couple weeks. I will definitely say that. However, on the 4-hour chart, we did remove this high, which has given us a beautiful picture-perfect upward trend line on the 4-hour chart here. So as long as this 4-hour trend line's holding, 15-minute time frame longs are going to be good. And then just to kind of walk you through what I would do here, let's say you're looking for longs on a 50-minute chart. Let's say just for the sake of it, you take a loss. And then price goes, you're still looking for 50-minute time frame longs because the trend line's holding. Then all of a sudden, price breaks it. You're down 1%. Price breaks the trend line. At this point, we need to hold off on trades as far as this time frame goes and wait for a pullback all the way down to this 4-hour demand zone. So we're basically not trading on this time frame from when the trend line's broken down to this 4-hour demand zone. And then that's where we can get that dip buying opportunity to make up for that minus 1% loss that we took earlier, with hopefully a 3-to-1, 4-to-1, even a 5-to-1 move off of this setup if possible. So that's what I'd be doing as far as the 4-hour chart goes. But also on the 1-hour time frame, even if we do start to get a deeper pullback, we actually have a decent little 1-hour demand zone down below at 0.655. It's actually pretty good. The move, it's a drop base rally. The overall move away is good. The initial move away is good. Kind of creating some sort of liquidity here right there. So that is a liquidity, a support trap there. So what I'd like to see is another reaction off it to really prove it and then get the pullback. That'd be like, best case scenario, but might not happen. But at the end of the day, that is the 1-hour zone there on the Aussie. Like I said, that would be my plan on the 4-hour chart. For now, it is longs all the way on the Aussie, but remember that DXY strength could be coming into play here. So we got to take that into consideration and see what takes place. Alrighty, on to the forecast for the USDCHF, the Swiss franc. So this one looks very, very similar to the DXY. We have that weekly man from back here. It is in control. We could expect price to continue to go up. So very, very correlated with the DXY weekly time frame. On the daily chart, though, I mean, things are still looking really, really weak here, in my opinion. Yeah, we have some demand and control, but to me, it just looks like we are hesitating. So there's not a lot to go off of on those time frames here, but we have a couple potential trading setups. So if you are bullish on the USD Swiss, which I mean, I am going to be bullish on the dollar this week. This is our 1-hour demand zone setup at 0.79. We are kind of basing out before it as well, just like the Aussie US dollar. So let me just go ahead and draw this liquidity here. So again, we kind of want to, the best case scenario would be to prove there's liquidity here by getting a second reaction and then get the pullback. So could be a rewarding demand zone there. This demand zone removed a downward trend line. I think it's a good zone, and we could be trading that demand zone all the way up to some of these 4-hour supply zones. So I like these supply zones for potential short trades. I think we could see a small move off this zone. I think we could see a bigger move off of the better zone up above at 0.811. So these are our two zones. This one is much, much better. It doesn't mean that, right? This one I would say is worse than this one, but it could be this one works out and this one loses. Just so you know, the best zones fail sometimes, and sometimes the worst zones work. So in the meantime, we could be looking for longs to trade up to these supply zones where we can then get potential short trades here on the USD CHF. All right, last but not least, we are on to the crude oil chart here. So let me just explain what I think we could be seeing. So we have a daily demand and control on crude oil. You can go back and at the start of June, you can see I had the zone on my charts. Every zone you see on my charts, I've called out ahead of the time, and I've had it on my charts ahead of time. Even if it fails, I've had it on the charts ahead of time. So you can see the zone, I've had it. We are seeing a nice move off that zone. I'm expecting this to potentially break, and here is why. On a weekly chart, we have a beautiful weekly man sitting just below. So why do we pause here? Because we have that with daily demand and control. I think we could break it, pull back down to that weekly man, and that is where I think we could see that bigger move to the upside off of that weekly area of demand. But what we could be seeing take place is this. On the 4-hour chart, we have a nice 4-hour upward trend line. And what we could be seeing take place is simply a pullback up to this 4-hour supply to then get a move to the downside off that supply to retrace back down to that weekly demand. That is what we could be seeing. So how do we go about and trade this right now? Well, we have a nice 4-hour trend to the upside, which means 50-minute time frame longs are good, all the way up to 73.50. So that is one option. On the 1-hour chart, you can see clearly a lot of manipulation here. I mean, we had a nice 1-hour trend line. To me, this is just clear manipulation. Really, really tricky. I wouldn't really be going off of anything here on this chart. Really not my favorite situation. So I wouldn't be going off of anything on the 1-hour time frame there. I would basically be basing my entire trading on this 4-hour chart here, and hopefully everything I said about the higher time frame analysis is making sense. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And as always, guys, any questions about any of my analysis, leave a comment. I respond to every single comment. If you want to watch the full-length forecast and get my daily chart analysis and daily market breakdown videos, join the Diamond membership. Links are in the description down below.